to another video. My name is Avalon and I am a crochet pattern designer and honestly just a crochet lover in general. Today I have planned a very exciting tea-worthy video. We are going to be looking at some hot takes. I've been trying to figure out what my own hot takes are. Honestly, I don't think I have the hottest of takes. So we are going to be looking at some hot takes that I found on Reddit. So these are other people's hot takes and we're just going to have a fun little discussion. We're just gonna look at them. I don't think we need any preamble. Let's go ahead and start looking at these hot takes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop onto the screen some of these things so that you can read along with me, because I mean, I can't lie to you guys. Sometimes when I get too excited, it makes it hard for me to read. And every time I talk to you guys, I'm excited, so it's hard. So the first hot take that I have here is, if someone can figure out how to somewhat replicate something that you've made without buying your pattern, then you're not allowed to be mad at it. Okay, so here's my thoughts about that. So I think to an extent I agree, but it just depends on what you're doing with that. Because if you're planning on now writing a pattern, you shouldn't like copy patterns. Like you shouldn't like look at a pattern and you're able to see how it's made and then just like copy the pattern exactly and then decide to sell your own pattern of it. But I think honestly, if it's something that's like very, very simple and you don't want to purchase the pattern, I can't really blame you for if you're able to like make it yourself without having to purchase a pattern. It's just for personal use. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone like seeing my bumblebee and then making it and they just keep the plushie for themselves. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just don't share with other people. And yeah, I think that's the main thing that I was trying to get at is, yeah, just don't share with other people. All right, so the next hot take that I see right here is people should consider their skill level and experience before selling their work. That does not sound very nice to me. Honestly, I think it's fine. I think at any skill level you can sell your work. I sold some of my very first plushies I ever made and I think it's fine, you know? Listen, if someone likes your work, no matter what skill level or experience you have, and they want to pay money for it, then cool. I mean, ideally, you've learned enough to make, you know, plushies that are of a high enough quality that they don't like get damaged too easily. I would say maybe that's an issue. Like maybe you're not closing your magic ring or something properly, or stuffing's falling out. I don't know. Or maybe the safety eyes aren't secured properly. For the most part, I think it's fine if you want to sell on Etsy at any skill level. Like you don't have to be an expert crocheter to sell. Yeah, I don't see a super problem with selling your crochet work early on, especially if someone wants it. Why not? Here's the next hot take. It's okay if you notice you skipped a stitch 10 rows later. The project is not ruined. Just move on. I think if it's just one stitch, it's fine, you know? But I did have a project that I was once working on, a BMO for a customer. It was a custom order and she was purchasing this BMO for one of her friends because her friend saw her BMO that she had also purchased from my shop, and her friend was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Can you make me another one? And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll make another one. And so I was working on the second one. I was like well into making this BMO project when I realized that 7 rounds ago, I made a mistake and I was like, oh my gosh. And that was like a few hundred stitches ago. So I was very sad, but I decided to go ahead and just go back, frog it, because I knew the customer already had a BMO and I knew that they would likely set them like right next to each other and they would see the differences. And I'm sure still, like, anything handmade can't look identical, but I really wanted to try to make them as close as possible. So in that case, I did go back and like frog and try to make it as perfect as possible. But I do tend to agree with this for the most part. I think if you miss just one stitch sometimes, I honestly don't think it's a super big deal. I mean, sometimes I'll just add an increase in, but you know, it just depends. It just depends. It depends. I would say probably most of the time I'll just add an increase and not worry about it. But if it is close, like if it was only like last round and I made one small mistake, I might just go back and to get it. Like, why not, you know? This one's a little bit of a long one. This person says, mine is never to make anything for money. Then the joy becomes a job and an obligation. In the extremely rare event that I can make something for someone that they commission, I will say you can pay for the pattern and the material, but you can't afford to pay me for my time. 99% of the time, if someone asks me to make something for them and they aren't a family member or a close friend, I will say no. And sometimes I even tell my friends and family no too. LOL. Honestly, I don't think that's bad. I think that's more of like a personal kind of decision, and I think, you know, good on them for, you know, choosing that for themselves. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I like to make crochet things, you know, and I sell them and it makes me happy. Like, I still love crochet. It doesn't feel like, well, it is a little bit of an obligation, but for me, I still find joy in it. But it really depends on what it is. For a long time, like, I haven't talked about this on here, but I do draw and I used to paint a lot. Like, I liked other art mediums before I found crochet. I don't think that I could sell those. And that's mainly because I do not enjoy drawing enough to make things for other people. It just isn't their, you know, it's not their thing, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, it's very thoughtful of them to only have them pay for like the material and for like the pattern. Like, that's very kind of them, especially for someone that they love, because it sounds like they make this mainly for family members or close friends. That's really nice. And honestly, good for you for saying no to your friends and family sometimes, because sometimes you've got to. If you're gonna spend all this darn time making all of these like crochet projects, which take hours and hours to make, you gotta have some time for yourself sometimes. It's okay to say no. Say no when you don't want to do it. Say no. Ooh, this one is a little contradictory to one of our hot takes before. Frogging is not a waste of time, no matter how much you have to rip out and redo. Ooh, I feel like you already know how I feel about it. It just depends on the project. If you're just one stitch off and an increase really isn't going to change how it looks, I mean, just do an increase real quick. That way you have one more stitch in your project. Don't go back 20 rounds. You know, I think if you have this opinion of frogging is never or not a waste of time, I think good on you. Good on you. I bet you have the most perfect projects ever, and I respect your dedication, and I think that you are amazing. I mean, I try my best. I definitely will frog, you know, but if you frog chenille yarn enough times, like this kind of like soft yarn, it will fall to pieces and you'll have to end up like cutting it off or something, because it just, frogging, it's not tough enough to withstand enough frogging, you know. But yeah, let's move on to the next one, since we already talked about that a bit. Don't have to use the exact hook size recommended. You can go up or down depending on your own tension and whatever it is that you're making. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much that is a hot take. I think that's just honestly truth. I would definitely, you know, keep this in mind. Like, just because the pattern says like to use a 6 or 5 or whatever millimeter hook it is that the pattern is saying for you to use, you definitely don't have to use that exact hook. And in fact, you don't even have to use the exact yarn from the pattern. Honestly, I don't know too much about wearables. I don't want to talk about wearables at all because I'm like afraid I'm going to like make you mess up your gauge really badly or something. When it comes to plushies, you can use any yarn or any anything that you want to use. It's just going to probably affect, you know, the way that it looks a little bit, whether it be like bigger sometimes if you use a big chunky yarn, or smaller if you use like a very thin like weight 4 yarn or something. It'll affect like that. But yeah, you can use basically any hook size, yarn size. You can use anything you want to use. So I actually thought that this one is quite interesting. It's kind of long, so I might try and like condense it. So I'll disagree with some people here and say that I love me some funky crochet garments. I choose to crochet rather than knit because I like that it looks so different than the other things that you find in stores. I don't want my crochet to look like knitting. Crochet stitches are so beautiful. I have the ability to learn to knit, and I would if I ever wanted to. I just choose crochet because I genuinely prefer it as a craft. And then I'm going to skip down to the end. Life is serious enough. Why not wear a chunky rainbow sweater if you want to? And honestly, I think that is beautiful, but also I have to say, like, I have to give my knitters out there some like love too, because I see you guys knitting. I don't know how to knit, but I see you doing good over there. Before I get into the way that crochet stitches look, obviously I think this is very much a preference thing. I mean, good on them. They love crochet. They love to make like chunky knit sweaters, it sounds like, and that's so fun. And yeah, I think a rainbow sweater would be beautiful. That sounds like such a wonderful idea to make. Eventually I'd like to make a wearable. I do think that crochet stitches are beautiful too, and I love, you know, the different textures you can get. But I mean, I do have to say that like knitting is also beautiful. I can see definitely the relation to like, they can make machines that can knit, so you can find knit garments in the store. But I have to say, like, I've seen some knitting that looks pretty impressive, especially the different textures that knitting can have. I think super cool. So one day I'd like to learn how to knit. I think it'd be fun. Annie from Hooks and Healers keeps talking about sock knitting, and I'm not gonna lie, she has me over here like, do I want to learn? I don't know. Would you guys be interested in watching me learn how to knit? I don't know. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I'm just curious if you guys would be interested. I need to start going quicker through these because this video is about to be 10 years long, so I'm gonna try to like pick it up here. This next person honestly is pretty funny. They have a lot of opinions and they are not afraid of sharing them. It's pretty fun. They say that they are the world's best hater, and that is just too funny. You be you, you know? Plastic hooks are the worst. Bamboo hooks are way better than plastic hooks, and metal hooks are the best. I've never tried bamboo, but now that has me kind of interested. So if I had to go off of this, I have used some plastic hooks. I exclusively use clover hooks, and they are great. Now I'm honestly very curious about bamboo hooks because, I mean, I've seen some wooden hooks, so I guess those must be bamboo. I wonder, what is your favorite material of your crochet hook? I'm very curious. I mostly use clover hooks and most of them are metal. I actually kind of wish that the bigger sizes were also metal because my size 7, my size 8, my size 9 millimeter are all plastic, and I definitely do find myself preferring the metal hooks over my plastic hooks. I feel like they just glide like a little bit smoother. Next one is pencil hold is uncomfortable and weird. So I have tried practicing pencil hold because I was just like, I'm curious, like, is this better? Like, would I like this? So I've tried it. If you don't have pencil and knife hold, I think they have different ways of calling them too. It's just how you hold your crochet hook. So I typically hold mine like this, like a knife, but pencil hold, you hold it kind of like, I think it's like this, and then you just crochet with it like, you know, just like you're writing with it. But I do knife, so I tend to agree with them. Pencil hold just isn't the most comfortable for me. You can make your plushies and garments beautiful no matter how you hold your hooks. I honestly think that knife hold is more popular. When I see people crocheting, I see them using knife hold more often. But I wonder how true that is, or if that's just something I picked up on and isn't true. You have the right to charge whatever you want for your handmade items, but people also have the right to say that you're out of your mind and not buy from you over it. Especially now when the hobby is getting incredibly popular and the market is now heavily saturated. I mean, I think I don't disagree with that. If you charge whatever you want to charge, and ideally people don't say like you're out of your mind, because I don't think that's a very nice thing to say. But if people don't buy it, people don't buy it. Like generally I like price my plushies and I sell them on Etsy. I have my price in mind, you know, and if people don't buy it, then they don't buy it. And that is honestly okay with me. I feel pretty like comfortable with sticking with the prices that I'm comfortable with selling things for. And if it's priced out of somebody's, you know, budget, that's okay, you know. Actually, this one didn't take that long to make, but some of these crochet things actually take a really long time to make, and they can't be replicated with machines. Like there's only one way to make this, and this is by hand. And the amount of effort and time, like you charge whatever you want to charge. And if people don't buy it, I mean, that's that. I'm not saying to, you know, ever lower your prices or anything. I think it's all about finding the right person. I think there's someone out there for every product. Honestly, I think there is someone. There's someone who will buy something. It's just a matter of finding that person. This opinion is Ribbler is dumb. I am honestly curious about how you guys feel about Ribbler, or like any of these like sites where you basically purchase like patterns and then you do it kind of through the app. Ribbler, I actually don't mind it. I like how after each round you can kind of like check it off and then you move on to the next like round. Like it's easy to keep track of what you're working on. I have not made a Ribbler though, because I kind of feel like PDF patterns are superior. Like I like that, you know, people can print them off and take them wherever they want to go. Like you could print it off and then go into the mountains on a little getaway or something. But yeah, I don't necessarily think that Ribbler is dumb, because actually I like Ribbler. I think that it has its time and its place. But I do think that PDF patterns are superior just because they can be used in so many different like settings and stuff. So yeah, that's my opinion. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. Ready? It says, if someone says not your grandma's nonsense, I immediately start to think that they are a-hole. And my grandma kept the craft alive, so it's available for you to learn. Be nice. This one is just too funny to me. I love it because, you know, grandma did keep this craft alive. Let's respect our grandmas. Grandma is great. Do you know how many times I've been called grandma because I'm crocheting? I've been called it a lot, and that's okay. Honestly, I always laugh. I think it's kind of a little funny. But I mean, honestly, I respect grandmas. Grandma respect. Oh, I don't feel like this one is a hot take, but I just want to read it to you guys. It says, make what you want to make, even if you're still new at it. You're not going to enjoy yourself if you're making stuff that you don't like. And you know, that is so true. Make whatever it is you want to make. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to make, I don't know, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, but if you want to make it, you do it. You make it for yourself and you enjoy it, because that's what this is all about. This is just have fun. Like, just have fun. Like, if you want to make something fun, make something fun. Oh gosh, I'm getting riled up. I just want you guys to have fun. So that was all from one person. I just picked out a few of their things because they, oh my gosh, they wrote a whole book, and it was a pretty fun book to read too. But I'm going to go on to some other hot takes. So this one is gauge swatches are for cowards. Oh man, they like to live life on the edge. Although I have not made any clothing or anything like that, I've never done a gauge swatch. I do understand the concept of gauge swatching and why it is important, and I just can't imagine spending like 20 hours on a project and then finding out it doesn't actually like fit onto my body. I would probably be so upset. Oh gosh, I definitely, when I do make my first wearable, I will be gauge swatching because I am too fearful. I am not like this person. This person is far more brave than I am. But to each their own. If you don't want to gauge swatch, don't gauge swatch. Risk it all. Risk it all. Pulling from the center of your yarn is dumb. I pretty recently got into pulling from the center of my yarn. I actually like it a lot. I even have some yarn right here. See, I'm pulling from the center. And I like it. I think it's great. I like center pull. I think I just like it a little bit better to pull from the center. I like it best. So me and this person definitely disagree. And that's okay because listen, we're all allowed to have our own opinions. If you disagree with me, that is okay. I'm not going to be like hurt or anything. We all have our own opinions. We're all just doing this crochet thing together. Crocheting in the round sucks. I thought that I hated making amigurumi because crocheting in the freaking round. So I don't. I've been rebelling and joining all of my rounds, but not turning. I mean, I am not a complete heathen. I actually think this is really funny, especially coming from like me reading this as a amigurumi like pattern maker. What's wrong? Why don't you like it? Tell me, what is it? What is it that you hate? No, but for real, like if there's anything that I could do to like help them to make it like better, I would love to know. Like what genuinely, what can I, without sounding sarcastic, what is it that I could do to help them, you know, want to do that is what I'm wondering. But also if it's still working for you, then just join your rounds. Like there's nothing wrong with joining rounds. Sometimes working in a spiral isn't the best thing anyway. Sometimes it can like make everything just look a little bit, just a little bit different on both sides. And that's because it's in a spiral. So it's not like a perfect circle. Do you? This is your own art. Enjoy your art as you see fit. This next one is magic circle is overrated garbage. I actually love my magic circles, but I will say sometimes with like this kind of yarn, chenille yarn, it is incredibly frustrating sometimes to close your magic circle. So I typically will use the chain 2 method, especially if my yarn is already giving me some difficulties. I'm just like, I'm over it. I will use chain 2 method and then start doing my stitches in the second chain from the hook. And I find that a lot easier. Like, why not? If you don't know what the chain 2 method is, I suggest looking it up. But if I can do a magic circle, I will do a magic circle. And just, you know, like, I do think it's interesting how the magic circle has so many different names. It's like magic circle, magic loop, magic... It has another name, I just can't remember the name. Maybe that's my hot take. I don't like how many different names there are for the magic circle. It says, I think the Woobles are ugly. And honestly, I can't agree with you, sir. I think the Woobles are cute. And if that's my hot take, it is what it is. I think they're cute and I think they're great for beginners. And I just encourage anyone who's learning how to crochet to try a Woobles kit because I do think that the designer does a good job of showing it. Listen, the Woobles has a special place in my heart. I do think, you know, they're all pretty like egg-shaped for the most part. But I mean, that's what you're gonna get. Like, these are beginner friendly patterns. Like, you're going to get pretty simple shapes. I think they have their place in the crochet sphere, and I think that they are great. Listen, I'm about to be a Woobles advocate over here because they taught me how to crochet. I have no hate for them. I love the Woobles. I still have Fred the T-Rex. He's not with me right now. He's somewhere else. I think he's in my closet, but I love him. And last hot take, and this one is going to be yours truly, my own, and that is I love sewing. I think sewing is so relaxing. That doesn't mean like I go out there and search for like sewing patterns or anything like that, because don't get me wrong, I do enjoy no-sew too, but I do enjoy sewing. Like, I think sewing is so relaxing. I'm just like, you know, I like to pin all of my stuff in place and then just go along and just sew it all in, and yeah, I do enjoy sewing. But when I do make my own crochet patterns, I keep in mind many people don't like sewing as much as I do, and that is okay. So I try to make my stuff a little with less sewing. I think that, you know, sewing can be difficult, especially for like people who aren't newer sometimes, but then, you know, sometimes no sew techniques can be difficult. I really just try to weigh, you know, the advantages and disadvantages and try to pick what's best, I think, for my audience, the people who might potentially be purchasing my patterns. I try to make things as clear as possible. But personally, I enjoy sewing. I like it. Sometimes I will put it off though if I'm not really feeling like it. But sometimes, you know, I won't lie, every once in a while I get, you know, I get into the vibe for sewing, especially if I do like a really good job and it's just so like clean looking. That is the best feeling when your sewing is looking top tier. Yeah, I love that. But that is all of the hot takes that I have for you guys today. If you guys have any of your own hot takes, please comment down below. Let's hear your hot takes. Did you agree or disagree with any of these hot takes? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. We all have our own opinions and everything, and that is totally okay. If you don't agree with my hot take of enjoying sewing, I promise that is okay. That doesn't bother me at all. And if you think the Woobles is ugly, I won't be judging you, but you know, I do like the Woobles. Alright, that's enough for me. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Happy crocheting and bye!